It started with whispers, casual remarks from early morning joggers and cyclists about a strange sight near the river's bend just outside of Willow Creek, a sleepy town where not much ever happened. There, by the muddy edge of the riverbank, sat a lone dog, motionless and soaked, with fur matted from rain and eyes hollowed with a strange, watchful sadness. He didn't bark. He didn't chase birds or beg for food. He just stared, day after day, into the murky water as if waiting for something only he could see. People began to notice the consistency of his vigil. He was always there, rain or shine, morning or night, in the exact same spot, watching the current drift by like it carried the weight of his soul. His ribs began to show. His paws bled from pacing back and forth on the sharp river stones. Children offered sandwiches, elderly couples left water bowls and warm blankets, but none of it interested him. It was as if he had one purpose, one reason for being, and no food, no comfort, no voice could shake him from it. On the 5th day, someone called the local rescue shelter, concerned the dog was lost or abandoned. But when the rescue workers arrived, the dog growled lowly, not in fear or aggression, but in desperation, as if pleading with them not to take him away. He ran in circles, then darted toward the river, barking for the first time in days, staring at the current with wild eyes, and only then did one of the volunteers notice something unusual, a shape drifting midstream, small and distant, caught briefly in a whirlpool. At first, it looked like a branch or debris, but as it spun, sunlight caught the glint of something metallic, perhaps jewelry or a zipper, and a cold chill settled over everyone there. The search team returned later with divers, and what they found changed the story from strange to heartbreaking. Submerged beneath the muddy currents was the waterlogged body of a young woman, her limbs tangled in underwater reeds, her skin pale and motionless, clinging to life no more. In her soaked backpack was a folded, faded photograph, a girl and a dog, both smiling by a campfire, a river not unlike this one in the background. The girl's name was Amara. She'd gone missing 7 days ago during a solo hiking trip, and her family had feared the worst. The dog in the picture? The same brown shepherd mix who hadn't moved from that riverbank for a week. His name, engraved faintly on a tag now covered in dirt, was Toby. As the divers pulled Amara's body from the water, Toby let out a howl unlike anything anyone had ever heard, long, aching, filled with a sound so deep it seemed to shatter something in the air. He lay down beside her body as it was placed gently on the grass, his nose pressed against her cold hand, refusing to be moved. Even after they took her away, he returned to that same spot at the river's edge, and for the next several days he sat there again, as if waiting for her to rise or return or call his name once more. The shelter took him in eventually, but Toby never adapted like the other rescues did. He ate only what he had to, slept facing the wall, and spent his days staring out the window toward the east, where the river ran, quiet and endless. Volunteers said he would sometimes bark at the wall in the middle of the night or carry the photograph of him and Amara around in his mouth until it tore from age. No one could reach him. No new owner was ever accepted. And every year, on the same week Amara was found, Toby would scratch at the shelter door until someone opened it. Then he'd walk the exact path back to the river and sit from morning until night, watching and waiting, as if the universe might make one exception and bring her back to him. Eventually, he grew old. His fur grayed, his eyes clouded, and one morning, the staff found him curled beneath the shelter window, the faded photograph resting on his chest. he had passed silently in his sleep. The town, which had once whispered about the strange dog by the river, now remembered him with reverence. A small plaque was placed at the river's bend, in memory of Toby, the dog who waited. And every year, people leave flowers, photos, and notes, not just for him, but for all those who have waited in silence, who have loved beyond words, and who have proven, without ever speaking a single human syllable, that sometimes loyalty does not end at death, and that dogs like Toby don't just remember. They mourn, they hope, and they believe, far more deeply than we ever imagined. After Toby's peaceful passing, the town of Willow Creek seemed to carry a heavy silence, as if the river itself mourned the loss of its most faithful guardian, the dog who had waited so patiently for a friend who would never return. But Toby's story did not end there. It had only transformed into something deeper, more mysterious, and far more profound than anyone could have imagined. Months passed, and the plaque by the riverbank, in memory of Toby, the dog who waited, became a pilgrimage site for animal lovers and grieving souls alike. People came to sit quietly, laying flowers or small mementos by the water's edge, feeling a strange but comforting presence that seemed to linger there, an invisible thread woven from loyalty, love, and the unspoken bond between man and dog. Then, one chilly autumn evening, a young woman named Claire arrived in town. Claire was an animal behaviorist who had heard Toby's story from a friend, and something about it stirred her soul deeply. She was drawn not only to the tale of loyalty, but to the lingering mystery that Toby's vigil seemed to represent, a mystery that whispered of unfinished business and a love that transcended death itself. Determined to understand, Claire began to spend her days and nights by the riverbank, carefully observing the wildlife and environmental patterns while quietly talking to the locals, gathering every detail she could find about Toby and Amara. Slowly, strange occurrences started to unfold. Local fishermen reported seeing a shadowy figure near the water after sunset, a silhouette of a dog that vanished whenever they approached, and hikers claimed to hear soft barking in the woods, echoing faintly, though no dog was in sight. Claire, skeptical but intrigued, set up cameras and sound equipment around the river, hoping to capture evidence of these unexplained happenings. One night, as the mist settled thick over the river and the moon cast silver ribbons across the water, Claire's equipment recorded something extraordinary. A faint, ghostly bark followed by the unmistakable outline of a dog, its eyes glowing red as it paced along the shore before disappearing into the fog. Over the following weeks, Claire interviewed more witnesses who spoke of strange lights and inexplicable feelings of being watched near the river. Feelings that weren't frightening, but oddly comforting, like the presence of a protective spirit. She began to suspect that Toby's loyalty had manifested beyond the physical world, that his spirit, tied irrevocably to Amara's memory, was still guarding the river, waiting for some final peace. Determined to bring closure, Claire collaborated with the local historical society and the family of Amara to hold a commemorative ceremony on the riverbank, inviting townspeople, rescue volunteers, and anyone touched by Toby's story. As they gathered beneath the ancient oak trees, Claire shared the recordings and stories she had collected, and as dusk turned to night, a hush fell over the crowd. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept the river, and a soft bark echoed through the air, clear and warm, as if Toby himself was speaking to them. Some wept openly, others held hands tightly, but everyone felt it. That connection between worlds, between past and present, life and afterlife, and the undeniable power of love and loyalty. From that night on, the mysterious occurrences around the riverbank increased. Footprints appeared in the mud with no owner. Lights flickered in patterns that resembled a dog's paw prints, and many who visited left feeling healed, hopeful, and strangely less alone. Claire stayed in Willow Creek, dedicating herself to helping animals and people alike find peace and healing, inspired by Toby's story to believe in the impossible, a bond that no distance or death could sever. And so, the legend of Toby lived on, not just as a tale of a dog waiting for his lost friend, but as a reminder that sometimes the most profound rescues are not of bodies or animals, but of souls, bound by love, memory, and a promise that true loyalty is eternal, seen and unseen, whispering through the rustling leaves and the gentle flow of a river that never forgets. As the seasons turned once more, and Willow Creek slowly slipped into winter's icy embrace, the story of Toby and the mysterious river became woven into the very fabric of the town's identity, whispered in hushed tones around fireplaces, and shared with visitors as a tale of undying love and inexplicable mysteries that defied logic. Claire, now deeply connected to the community and the river that had become her second home, found herself drawn further into the enigmatic phenomena surrounding Toby's spirit. One frigid night, wrapped in layers and clutching a thermos of steaming tea, she ventured down to the riverbank alone, her breath visible in the cold air as she set up her equipment once again, this time armed with infrared cameras, motion sensors, and audio recorders placed strategically where Toby had spent his last days. Hours passed in silence, save for the occasional call of an owl or the gentle lapping of water against the stones, until just past midnight, a low growl echoed faintly through the woods, sending a shiver down Claire's spine. Her cameras caught a fleeting glimpse of a dark figure moving with uncanny grace along the river's edge. A dog, unmistakably Toby, yet not bound by the constraints of the physical world. His eyes, fiery red and glowing softly in the moonlight, reflected a sorrow so deep it seemed to pull at the very air around her. As she whispered Toby's name, the apparition paused, turning briefly to acknowledge her presence before vanishing into the mist like a shadow dissolving with dawn. Over the following days, Claire analyzed the recordings, discovering subtle but undeniable patterns. The manifestations were strongest during the anniversary of Amara's disappearance, when the river's current ran a little colder, and the wind carried an eerie yet comforting melody that locals called the whispering water. Driven by a need to understand, Claire sought out the town's oldest residents, uncovering stories of strange happenings around the river going back generations. Tales of dogs who appeared as protectors, guiding lost souls back to safety, or warning villagers of unseen dangers lurking in the shadows. These stories, once dismissed as folklore, now took on a chilling new meaning, as if Toby's spirit was the latest in a long line of guardians, bound to the river and the lives it touched. In the months that followed, Claire's dedication blossomed into a new mission: to establish a sanctuary along the river for lost and abandoned animals, inspired by Toby's unwavering loyalty and the healing power of connection between humans and their furry companions. Volunteers flocked from far and wide, moved by the story and eager to be part of something greater than themselves. The sanctuary became a place not just for physical rescue, but for emotional restoration, a haven where animals were treated with love and respect, and where people came to find solace and hope amidst their own struggles. Meanwhile, the local children who grew up hearing the story of Toby learned to listen carefully to the world around them, recognizing that sometimes the smallest creatures carry the heaviest burdens and the greatest capacity for love. and though Toby was gone from the earth, his presence lingered like a soft heartbeat beneath the surface of the river. A silent promise that even in loss, there is a thread of hope that can never be broken. The river flowed on, steady and eternal, cradling memories and miracles alike, and for those who believed, it whispered the truth that loyalty and love are forces beyond comprehension, forces that shape destinies, heal wounds, and sometimes bring the impossible back to life. As spring bloomed over Willow Creek, Claire found herself deeply engrossed in the sanctuary she had helped create, a living tribute to Toby's legacy and a beacon of hope for abandoned and rescued animals. However, the river continued to hold its secrets, with its waters shimmering with whispers of the past and the unseen. One early morning, a small group of townspeople and volunteers gathered to witness the mysterious phenomenon that had become the heart of their community. As dawn approached, a sudden rustle broke the silence, revealing a large, majestic wolf with fur the color of midnight and eyes glowing soft amber. The crowd watched in awe and silent wonder as the wolf approached the river's edge, pausing to drink deeply before lifting its head to gaze across the water, where the faint outline of Toby appeared like a mirage. The wolf's gaze softened, and it seemed to bow its head in respect, acknowledging the spirit that had protected these woods for so long. Over the following days, the wolf became a silent guardian of the sanctuary, appearing at dusk and dawn, often watching over the rescued animals as if ensuring their safety. The townspeople grew to believe that this mysterious wolf was a manifestation of Toby's spirit, transformed and reborn by the river's magic and the power of unwavering love. Stories spread that the wolf was a protector, not only of the animals, but also of the town itself, a living symbol of resilience and the enduring bond between humans and their loyal companions. For Claire, the wolf's presence was a constant reminder that rescue is not just about saving lives. It is about healing hearts, bridging worlds, and honoring the sacred promise that no creature is ever truly alone.